Greetings, viewers. This is the Cross Moto channel. What do you think of when you hear American-made motorcycle? That's right, you immediately think of Harley-Davidson, and along with it maybe Indian and Victory. The latter have been produced since 2017. And all of these are classic American motorcycles, big, heavy cruisers with a V-twin engine in the frame. However, among American motorcycles, there are also some extremely unusual and original models. One of these is the exceptionally charismatic Motus. The MST V4 is the perfect American sport tourer, capable of competing with such monsters as the Yamaha VMAX 1700 and the Ducati Diavel. And yes, it's time to talk about the American V4 enjoy watching. Brian Case and Lee Kahn live in Alabama. In the late 90s and early 2000s, these guys were already known for tuning cars and motorcycles, and for their modified Corvettes in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And so, around the mid-2000s, these two came up with the idea to create an excellent touring motorcycle as they saw it. It had to be comfortable, powerful, and fast, and very importantly, it had to be exclusively American. Brian and Lee were so passionate about the idea that they founded a company called Motus Motorcycles for this purpose. Motus partnered with the race car manufacturer Pratt & Miller in the development of the MST. Motorcycle sketches and blueprints were ready by 2008. At the same time, about 1,200 motorcyclists were surveyed about what they wanted from a sport touring motorcycle. By 2010, prototypes were ready and test runs completed. Motus was also developing a dealer network. In 2011, the motorcycle was shown to the public for the first time at Daytona Bike Week. After Daytona, the prototypes traveled around the country and were displayed at races and other events. And a small number of motorcycle enthusiasts with an extra $30,000 started lining up for this sport tourer. But as time went on, the new bikes still weren't for sale. From the outside, it might have seemed that the company had hit a wall, either in design, in the bureaucratic nuances of federal vehicle approval, or in finances. However, the reality was somewhat simpler. The prototypes were decent, but Brian Case and Lee Kahn wanted to perfect their creation, working out every little detail. The American Sport Tourer was ready by 2014 in two versions, the base MST and the sportier MST-R, but it officially went on sale in 2014. The most eye-catching feature of this motorcycle is its engine, a 4-stroke V4 Motus MV, 4 baby block with a 90-degree cylinder angle. This unit has a displacement of 1,650 cc. It might seem like this engine was taken from some kind of car. For example, when I saw the Motus V4, I automatically made an analogy with the Zaza cycle. Here's what actually happened. While working on the project, Brian, and Lee realized no available engine met their needs. Japanese inline 4s and American V-twins all seemed overused to them. Motus, in collaboration with Pratt & Miller, developed an engine from scratch specifically for the motorcycle. But the roots of this engine are automotive. The guys were inspired by V8 engines, American classics. To fit the new power unit into the motorcycle frame, they limited it to 4 cylinders and an acceptable displacement. The muscle car V8 resemblance remains in every detail, which should appeal to enthusiasts. Later on, the baby block started being offered for installation on various types of buggies, UTVs, and other equipment. In the base MST, this engine makes 165 horsepower. with a maximum power output and 162 Nm of torque, while in the tuned MSTR version, the figures are 180 horsepower and 171 Nm with such power and torque figures. The maximum speed of the Sport Tourer is around 270 km/h, and it accelerates from 0 to 100 in just under 3 seconds. The engine is equipped with a fuel injection system, uses a liquid cooling system, the camshaft is located in the engine block, each cylinder has 2 valves, and the power unit is characterized by a wide torque band and a compliant nature. So, already at around 2,500 to 3,000 RPM, at least 80% of the total torque is available. The motorcycle frame is made of steel tubes in a birdcage design, with the engine mounted longitudinally to the motorcycle's axis, serving as a stressed member. Motus relied on top suspension and brake specialists instead of reinventing the wheel, just like many others. Öhlins fork, Öhlins rear shock absorber, Brembo brakes, UZET brake discs. Despite the considerable weight and size of the engine, the motorcycle turned out to be quite light, namely 226 kilograms. The tank holds 21 liters of fuel, and the American V4 consumes about 5.5 to 6 liters per 100 kilometers. The Motus V4 is a solid touring bike with many nice features, including factory-installed ones, heated seats and handlebar grips, a windscreen adjustable by remote control, and a 12-volt socket near the dashboard. The price as of 2016 was $30,000 for the MST and $37,000 for the MST-R. Brian Case and Lee Kahn plan to produce about 300 units of the Motus in the first year and gradually expand in the future, but the production of the charismatic American V4 didn't last long. So, on August 31, 2018, the co-founders of Motus announced on their social media pages that production was ending. And there were several reasons for this, one of the main ones being typical for many small companies. Motus faced a lack of finances. Besides, the guys were developing and promoting their product during a far from ideal period. The financial crisis of 2008-2009, the recession, and the decline in motorcycle sales in the United States. The last point was in no hurry to return to normal in Russia, even after 5 or more years. The Motus MST also had its drawbacks. The main drawback of the motorcycle was the lack of electronic aids such as ABS, traction control, and similar features. This is a major disadvantage for a motorcycle from the 2010s, especially in the sport touring class. Brian and Lee were working on fixing this shortcoming, as well as developing a naked version of the motorcycle. But by 2018, they hadn't managed to bring these plans to life. About 200 units were produced during the entire production. The Motus V4, an American V4, turned out to be a powerful and stylish sport tourer, and when it comes to the engine, it's truly a breath of fresh air for the industry. A similar power unit in terms of layout and placement can only really be found on the Honda Pan-European. On the other hand, the Motus MST turned out to be an overly expensive niche machine, designed primarily for fans of muscle car engines. That's the story of the American one. This is where my story comes to an end. As always, this was the Cross Moto channel with you. Thank you for your attention and for being active on the channel with likes, shares, and comments. Special thanks to everyone who supports the channel financially. See you next time.